Irish guy, and right. Most of you will tell me that there's not one player from your club's rivals who you would like in your team. Well, most of you are lying. I mean, I commend the loyalty, but it's a barefaced lie. So what I'm gonna do today is rile you up even further. I'm gonna look at every Premier League club and find each team's biggest Derby Day rivals, their most hated football cousins, and find the worst player at your rival club who would still start for your team. Yeah, you're going to hate this. You're all gonna look at these suggestions as if they're just violent insults upon your club, as if I just walked up to your stadium and chucked a pint of vomit at the walls. But lads, let's just see what happens. Right, let's go. Arsenal Jets bets. Yeah, I know. The suggestion that Arsenal, despite being top of the league, would even consider buying a bench-warming Tottenham right back, even that suggestion would probably cause the Gunners fans to react to this as if I just offered them a slice of toast smeared in poo. But listen, Tottenham have done Spence a favour this summer, because imagine if he'd gone down in flames at the other car crash at Nottingham Forest this season. Look what happened with Max Aarons at Norwich. Now there's such little interest in him, you'd swear he was a morbidly obese guy on Tinder. But listen, the reason Spence isn't playing at Tottenham is because clearly Conte is clearly just giving him 4 hours of homework to do every day, as if he's trying to learn a new language. Honestly, trying to swat up in Conte ball those complicated Italian tactics. It must be like trying to read a physics book upside down. But Arteta's more basic game plan, that's like reading a Where's Wally book. It's a lot easier to adjust and fit into. Honestly, I know Ben White is doing a great job at right back, but he's not a right back. He's like Nathan Ake. Yeah, these sort of players can fill in out wide and do such a good job that they put actual fullbacks to shame, but White's a centre back. Honestly, I think 22-year-old Spence, he would thrive in this Gunners team. Aston Villa, Hannibal Medri. What are you looking at me like that for? Lads, considering Aston Villa looked about as dangerous as a bunch of constipated mice in front of goal, then you're lucky I didn't say Troy Deeney. Yeah, someone about as fashionable as an orc with the flu. Someone with the movement of a snowman in March, just sort of melting all over the grass. But can you imagine if Steven Gerrard actually signed Deeney in January? I actually think Villa fans would sooner eat their breakfast out of a rat-infested bush. No, I'm gonna go for Hannibal Medri, a talented midfielder on loan from Man United, and he's got 18 senior caps for Tunisia. But lads, I am wary, because the last wonder kid with an afro that Man United loaned out to Brum was Tahith Chong, and he was about as anticlimactic as the finale of The Rings of Power. I don't know, I'm not confident here, because lads, Carney Chukwuemeka couldn't start at Villa's midfield, but if Hannibal is as good as they say, then he might squeeze Jacob Ramsey out of the team. Maybe. Bournemouth Tail Walcott. Lads, do Bournemouth even have any rivals? Honestly, they're like this country's Ned Flanders. They've got no bitterness or hate towards anyone. Honestly, they're just like a priest at a picnic. Just a big fat smile on their face. Especially if it's pointed towards the playground on my right. But let's just say that Southampton are the rivals. In which case, this suggestion is mean, because Bournemouth are doing really well. Yet I'm still saying that Theo Walcott would start for them. A very weary 33-year-old winger who's had so many operations, his legs must feel like they belong to an 87-year-old nun. Lads, he's played 1 minute of Premier League football for Southampton in 2022. Is he injured? No, he's just not good enough. 1 minute of league football since December. What is going on? This guy should probably be just sold to West Brom. But still, I do reckon that he's marginally still a more useful option than Ryan Christie on the wing. Am I wrong? Brentford, Chris Willock. Again, who's Brentford's rivals? QPR? In which case, I considered it as chair, but I'm picking Joe Willock's brother. Good old Chris. Yes, Brentford fans might sneer down their nose at this 24-year-old winger, but this is a guy who spent years learning at monster clubs like Arsenal and Benfica. And like Joe, he's got an eye for goal. 6 goals in 9 championship matches this season. It's a matter of time before he's in the Premier League. And now, yes, once he gets here, he could wind up just being an out-of-his-depth sponge. Someone who looks about as scary as the cookie monster at the dentist. He could well just be a modern-day Junior Hoylett or a Matthew Phillips. But I think he would just about squeak his way into Brentford's front 3. Past Johan Wissa. Or when he's fit, maybe Keane Lewis Potter. Maybe. Brighton, Jordan Ayew. Okay, for some weird reason, Brighton's rivals are in London. Crystal Palace. Still have no clue why. I don't get why the fans hate each other. It's so odd. Why do people from Brighton just randomly hate people from London? Honestly, it's like Joanna versus the side men. They live nowhere near you. This is the equivalent of choosing to trick or treat at houses in the next County. But listen, who's the worst Palace player to get in the Brighton team? I'll go with Jordan Ayew. Yes, he has got the end product of a wet tea bag, but lads, he does have skill, quick feet, good link-up play. I think he'd slot nicely into Roberto De Zerbi's team. Maybe dislodge Adam Lallana in an attacking midfield role. Yeah, he'd actually be a good signing. Even though, yes, I mean, seeing him try to score a goal, it's been like watching a cow try to sneeze. Chelsea, Alexander Mitrovic. Okay, I am reaching here. I am really reaching here. No Fulham player will get into Chelsea's team. Are you mad? And not only that, but that's been the case since 2013. I mean, Didier Drogba had just quit the club, and Fernando Torres was now playing like a pig with a headache. So yeah, maybe Dimitar Berbatov, who was still scoring 15 goals for Fulham that season, yeah, maybe he would have got into the Chelsea 11 under Rafa Benitez that year and scored a bunch of goals in the Europa League. But now, maybe, okay, maybe if Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's form falls off a cliff, then maybe Alexander Mitrovic would get a game for Chelsea. Maybe. I mean, it's a massive maybe with a huge fat M. You know, bigger than the one in the McDonald's sign. I mean, yeah. A massive maybe. Crystal Palace, Levi Colwill. Again, back to the random Brighton rivalry. I'll go with Levi Colwill, who currently can't buy a game at Brighton. But lads, he's supposed to be a huge Chelsea prospect. I mean, he's 19 years old and a centre-back by trade. So yeah, I think the version of Colwill who excelled on loan at Huddersfield last season, well, that confident, assured version, he would walk into Crystal Palace's back line and strike up a centre-back pairing with his old Chelsea mate Mark Gahey. I mean, there's just 3 years between them. Colwill joined Chelsea in 2005. Gahey joined Chelsea in 2007. I'm pretty sure they're childhood friends, and yeah, without a doubt, they'd probably be one of the most telepathic natural centre-back pairings in the league. I mean, they've known each other for 15 years. Honestly, why didn't Patrick Vieira try for Colwill on loan? I mean, he'd be a perfect buy. Everton, Curtis Jones. Look, I realise that Alex Iwobi is doing well, reinvented as an Everton midfielder, but I'm sorry, if Curtis Jones is unable to dislodge JJ Okocha's cousin from the team, then he might as well just rip up his Liverpool contract now and feed it to a cat. Because if a 21-year-old Jones cannot start for Everton, then he shouldn't be at Liverpool. I mean, lads, I know that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain would not get in the Everton team, but I mean, he also doesn't belong in Anfield and should be moved along in January. But with Jones, he's got 75 games for Liverpool under his belt, and only 2 years ago, he was playing 34 times in one season for Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, he's sort of recently lost his way, but you have to think he'd still start for Everton. I mean, surely, because if not, then he's got no business being a Red and should just hurry up and get sold to Stoke. But I do think there is still a player in there, so yeah, I would back him to get in Frank Lampard's team. Fulham, Carney Chukwuemeka. Okay, how far down the Chelsea pecking order do you want to go to find players who still get in this Fulham team? I honestly think you can go all the way down to Carney Chukwuemeka. I mean, he doesn't have a prayer of starting for Chelsea anytime soon, but he's an 18-year-old midfield wonder kid, and yeah, he definitely get into Marco Silva's team ahead of Harrison Reed in defensive midfield, or maybe slightly forward, kick Andres Pereira out of the playmaker role. Honestly, even though he's a raw child who probably doesn't even have armpit hair, Chukwuemeka would still start for Fulham. Leeds, Zidane Iqbal. Yeah, I nearly chose the likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka or Alejandro Garnacho to start for Leeds, but lads, I think we can go even lower in the Manchester United pecking order. I mean, this might look like crazy talk, and yeah, this call might age like sour milk within a few years. I mean, when Iba's gone and he's playing for Grimsby Town, but right now, despite 0 Premier League appearances, I think Manchester United might be harbouring a midfield talent who, yeah, could start for Leeds. Lads, he's 19 years old, is a full international for Iraq, and has played in the Champions League, and was another pre-season star for the club this summer. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is just a glorified Hamza Choudhury. But if the hype is justified, then yeah, I think he might just sneak his way into the Leeds team. But yeah, imagine telling someone 10 years ago that you'd have to bend over backwards to justify why Zidane might play for Leeds. Leicester, Willy Bully. Are Nottingham Forest really Leicester's biggest rivals? Really? I mean, do Forest know that? Because this rivalry seems meeker than a handshake with a nerd. Listen, Leicester have horrible defensive problems. I mean, Daniel Amartey is not a natural centre-back. Listen, Willy Bolly isn't very good. He's a 31-year-old Ivorian centre-back who lost his place at Wolves and has only played 1 game so far for Nottingham Forest. I mean, he's basically a wet lollipop who belongs in the Championship. But still, even still, this washed-up pancake would still get into Brendan Rodgers' team. And what are you staring at, Rodgers? You once tried to win the Premier League with Kolo Touré in defence. You're clearly not very picky when it comes to centre-backs. I mean, who knows? Bolly might be one of the few foxes who actually knows how to head away a corner kick. I mean, I just want to make it clear, I don't rate Bolly. I do think he's just some clumsy Chris Packett, but he'd still start for Leicester. Liverpool, Amadou Onana. Okay, to be fair, if he was in their squad, then Seamus Coleman would have started at Anfield against Man City last week. But no, I mean, if the entire squad is fully fit, then yeah, Coleman would just be tossed away into a Liverpool fridge freezer, just stuffed in there alongside a bunch of turkey dinosaurs. I mean, there is only one Everton employee who would stand a chance of starting for Liverpool right now. Maybe 21-year-old defensive midfielder Amadou Onana. I mean, he's a present signing from Lille, so maybe he could squeeze an out-of-form Fabinho out of the team. Maybe. I think the Brazilian's form this season has been very patchy, and Onana's been great. So yeah, I'm picking Onana, but it's not a confident pick. For all I know, Jurgen Klopp might look at him as if he's just staring at a photo of his granny in the nude. Man City, Harry Maguire. Okay, part of me thinks that Pep Guardiola would welcome Harry Maguire with open arms. I mean, lads, he was so hideously desperate to sign this chunk of meatloaf back in 2019, with the club willing to offer wages of £300,000 a week. I mean, clearly Pep sees a player in this guy, but would he really get into Man City's team? Now, considering they've since bought Ruben Diaz, I think if you actually believe that he would, when his confidence is now stuffed to the bottom of a toaster, you're now more naive than Red Riding Hood when she thought her granny was a wolf. I mean, lads, would any Manchester United player make the Man City team? I'm really looking, but I don't think so. Maybe Guardiola might be able to do something with Donny van de Beek. Although, to be fair, if Ten Hag is former Ajax coach, if even he can't make him tick, then there probably isn't any hope for this blonde muffin. You know what? I'm gonna go with Maguire. Because if Guardiola chooses to play a back three like he did at Anfield, then lads, if Nathan Ake can play every week, despite getting let go by Chelsea and being relegated at Bournemouth, then you have to think that a centre-half who once cost £85 million, if he was given the right mentoring and coaching, and I don't know, some therapist who's able to hypnotise him into believing that he's good, then surely a ball-playing centre-half with more England cap than Jamie Carragher, someone who is actually pretty decent in the back three, then yeah, maybe, in the right system, he might start for City. But again, a big fat maybe. Man United, Manuel Akanji. Just get me a right back. Someone find me a Manchester City right back. Because that is clearly Man United's Achilles heel. I mean, that is their massive weak point. Because lads, Man United going forward actually have a bunch of pretty great attacking players. So no, I'm not going to sit here and say something stupid like Cole Palmer would walk in Eric Ten Hag's first 11. No, he'd have more chance of growing a third leg made of chocolate. No, Man United need a right back. So, I mean, I'm half tempted to pick Rico Lewis, but I mean, come on, he's 17 years old. I mean, he's clearly not ready yet. So you know what? I'll just pick Manuel Akanji. I mean, he's just a low-key £15 million buy from Borussia Dortmund. But he can play right back. And yeah, unlike Wan-Bissaka, he's actually pretty good with the ball at his feet. Ozzy, sometimes Wan-Bissaka, once he receives the ball, I mean, it's like he's just being tossed a grenade in an envelope. So yeah, Swiss international Akanji, yeah, he'd be ideal for a Ten Hag ball. Newcastle, Dennis Cirkin. Okay lads, I am being generous here. Because in reality, the richest club on planet Earth, even in the early stages of their project, no, there is nothing you can offer them from League One. I'm sorry, you think Eddie Geordie enviously looks at the Sunderland squad? I would imagine to them, it'd be like looking at the contents of a bin for dinner. Nah, they'll probably just go to Nando's instead. But maybe there's one. Because Newcastle's weak point right now is their left back. Because neither Jamal Lewis or Matt Targett have really pulled up any trees. While Dan Byrne is an out of position Frankenstein monster of a centre half. I mean, come on, he's got the pace of Peppa Pig's mum. But apparently, Antonio Conte is eyeing up a move for Dennis Cirkin, a 20-year-old Sunderland left back who actually left Tottenham last year and has a £6 million buyback clause. Lad, this is a guy who was born in Dublin and yet still plays for England under 20s. I mean, what is going on? Can't you let us have anything nice? But yeah, he's a promising left back. Apparently Brentford want to buy him too. So maybe he might be able to scrape a start for Newcastle. But just about. Well, I mean, yeah, maybe if he is as good as they say, maybe he would make Target look like a box of boring veggie lasagna. Maybe. Nottingham Forest, Louis Sibley. Nottingham Forest might be in a mess, but the last thing they need to do is buy anyone from League One. I mean, is there really a Derby County player that actually play? I don't know. Louis Sibley, 21-year-old midfielder. Go on then. I mean, no, he wouldn't start for Forest. I know he wouldn't, but there's nobody else to pick. I mean, it's Derby County. No one in their team will play for Forest. No, sorry. They're ninth in League One. I mean, what do you expect? Southampton, Dane Scarlett. Again, Southampton don't need anyone from Portsmouth. I mean, this isn't 2008 anymore. I mean, yeah, back then, this was the opposite. I mean, back then, there wasn't a single Southampton player that got into Harry Redknapp's team. Well, maybe a teenage Adam Lallana at a push. maybe by now, what poppy player from League One would get into Ralph Hasenhüttl's team? I don't know. Dane Scarlett is a striker on loan at Fratton Park from Tottenham, and Jose Mourinho claimed he would be a future monster in front of goal. So at the risk of, suggesting you sign the English Troy Parrott, then sure, Southampton need to do something to score goals. So yeah, why not risk it all on an 18-year-old? Which is probably what Leonardo DiCaprio tells himself on dating sites. But listen, he's got 3 goals in League One this season, so would he really dislodge Adam Armstrong? Look, I'll trust Josie on this one. If he says he's good enough, then yeah. Tottenham, Kieran Tierney. Yeah, pretty simple one here. Kieran Tierney is not guaranteed a regular start at Arsenal every week, but lad, he would walk into Tottenham's first team. He is everything that Sergio Reguilon was not. He is a left back, yes, but crucially can also play left wing back, or even a centre back in the back 3. I have a feeling Conte would absolutely love this former Celtic stalwart. Come on, he's a really talented footballer and excellent defender. Whether it's out wide on the left or in the back 3, Tierney would walk into Tottenham's team without a shadow of a doubt. West Ham, nobody. I'm sorry, but no. No, I can't. I have scanned through Millwall squad, and I promise you, there is not one single employee at the club who would get a game at West Ham. There's no hidden gems, no Millwall wonder kids, no, nothing. I cannot in all good conscience just pretend that any Millwall player would start for West Ham. Just no! Wolves, Carl Grant. Okay, Wolves need goals. And I'm sorry, but chucking an overhill Diego Costa up front is not the answer. I know it's not the most exciting option, and I know he was another wet weasel in the Premier League with West Brom. Just one sad, limp and lonely goal. But Conor Grant scored 18 goals in the Championship last season, and he did score 4 in 13 games for Huddersfield in the Premier League. So he can do it. I don't know, maybe a 25-year-old Grant might squeak a start ahead of Costa in the Premier League. Maybe, just maybe. But again, maybe with a big fat M. Anyways, let me know what do you think? Let me know in the comments what one player for your rival team, the worst one, would start for your club. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.